You tell yourself one more spin and I win it back. Just one. That's not weak willpower. That's a reward system doing its job. A little too well. The same thought 10 spins later. You're not stupid. You're not broken. Your brain is running an old, very good program on a machine built to trick it. And the worst part? The closer you feel to winning, the harder it pulls. That feeling has a name and a wiring diagram. Let's open it up. Today, 3 mechanisms that hijack the loop. What dopamine actually does, why almost hooks you, and the honest twist nobody tells you about the machine. First, let's be honest about the pull, because naming it correctly is half the fight. It's not the money on a win. It's the moment right before. Barrels still spinning, anything still possible. That little held breath. That suspended second feels electric, like the whole world narrows to 3 little symbols. Then the result lands, win or lose, and somehow you're already reaching to do it again. That reaching, that's the part we need to explain. Here's mechanism 1, and it's the foundation for everything else. You'd assume the brain chases the good feeling. It doesn't. It chases surprise, the raw gap between what you expected and what you actually got. Picture a tiny messenger in your head called dopamine. You've heard it sold as the pleasure molecule, the thing that makes good stuff feel good. That label is wrong, and once you see why, everything about this loop changes. Dopamine doesn't fire for pleasure. It fires for the mismatch, that little jolt of, I didn't see that coming. A reward you fully expected, right on schedule. The signal barely moves. It goes quiet. So a sure thing is boring to your brain, almost invisible. But an uncertain thing, might pay, might not, no way to know, keeps that messenger screaming on every single pull. That right there is the whole engine. This was mapped in the brain decades ago. Scientists watched single dopamine cells while a reward was sometimes given, sometimes skipped. An unexpected reward fired a big burst, but once it became predictable, the burst moved earlier onto the signal, not the reward. The prize itself stopped firing. And a reward you were expecting that didn't show up? The cells dropped almost silent, like a tiny letdown you can measure. Your brain is literally a difference detector for better or worse than I thought. So that's the dopamine signal, and it's the key to this whole machine, a prediction error. Not a happiness gauge, a surprise gauge. It cares about gaps, not good feelings. Hold on to that. Breathe for a second here. If chasing surprise feels broken, it really isn't. That same circuit is why your ancestors checked the same berry bush again and again. Sometimes berries, sometimes nothing. Always worth one more look. Now here's where a slot machine gets genuinely clever. It doesn't just hand you surprise now and then, it hands you surprise on a schedule that was carefully designed to be almost impossible to walk away from. Reward you every single time, and the thrill dies fast. Your brain stops bothering to fire, reward you randomly, never knowing which pull pays, and the behavior locks in harder than almost anything else can. This is mechanism 2, and it's not an accident, it's engineering. Random, unpredictable payoff isn't a quirk in how the machine feels. It's the single most powerful pattern for locking in behavior that science has ever measured. A famous behavior lab tested this against every other schedule of reward you could design. The unpredictable one, never knowing which press pays, produced the highest, steadiest rate of pressing by a wide margin. And here's the cruel part nobody warns you about. Behavior trained on random reward is also the hardest to stop. When the payoffs dry up completely, you keep going the longest, because maybe the very next one is it. That's exactly why a brutal losing streak doesn't feel like a stop sign. It feels like you're due, like the math owes you. Your brain was tuned by design to ride this precise pattern all the way out. Reward someone every time and they quit the second it stops paying. Reward them at random and they'll sit there for hours. The machine designers know exactly which of those two keeps you glued to the chair. So now you've got a surprise engine wired straight into the most stubborn payoff schedule ever measured. You'd think that combination is the whole trap right there. It isn't. There's a third trick, and it's the worst. This one is the cruelest of the 3, because it quietly turns your losses into fuel for the next pull. It's that so close feeling, the near miss. Mechanism 3, and this is the sneaky one. 2 cherries land right on the line. The third one stops just one notch short. You lost objectively, completely, $0 in your pocket. A plain loss. But your brain doesn't file it as a loss. It files it as I almost had it, I was right there, and almost. To a difference detector that lives for near things looks an awful lot like winning. I need to be straight with you here, because this is where people get sold scary half-truths. So everything next comes with a name and a study you can check yourself. Researchers scanned people's brains during near misses. Watch this. A near miss lit up the same win circuit as a real jackpot, even though no money was won. The reward zone deep in the brain, the same part that celebrates an actual win, lit up on a clear total loss. Your head quietly threw a tiny party for losing by a single inch. And it gets stranger. People rated those near misses as unpleasant, even frustrating. Yet the same near misses made them want to keep playing more, not less. Less fun, stronger pull. That contradiction is the whole hook. And the effect was strongest when players felt in control, picking the numbers, stopping the reels with their own hand. That sense of I chose this quietly turns almost into next time, for sure. In heavy gamblers, that near-miss response is cranked up even louder in the same reward zone. Worth being honest though, scientists couldn't pin it on dopamine alone. The wiring here is bigger than one chemical. So now you can feel the full grip, all three at once. The surprise you chase. The payoff schedule you can't outwait. And the losses your own brain quietly reframes as near wins. 3 hooks, 1 chair, no exit. And it makes a terrible kind of sense that you couldn't just decide to stop and have it work. You were never fighting boredom or laziness. You were fighting your own reward system running exactly as designed. Okay, hands off the wheel for a second. Just notice the shape of what we found. None of these 3 things is a character flaw. Not one of them. They're features of a perfectly healthy brain. A brain that ignored surprise, shrugged at almost, and quit the second things got uncertain. That brain wouldn't have survived one ancient winter. It would have starved waiting for a sure thing. Which brings us to the honest twist, the exact part the scare videos quietly skip over. The schedule itself, that random payoff, does it actually program addiction straight into you, or is something else going on? Scientists ran about the cleanest test you could ask for. Animals living on a slot-style random schedule. They pressed faster, harder, barely pausing to rest. Their motivation went absolutely through the roof. But every real addiction marker came back negative. Punish the action. They stopped. Devalue the reward. They stopped. The schedule was, in their words, motivating but not addictive. Read that again slowly. The pattern is an engine of persistence, not an off switch for your will. It makes you push and push and push, but it does not, all on its own, turn a person into an addict. So the truth sits in the honest middle, where the scary videos won't go. It isn't weak willpower. The machine is genuinely exploiting real wiring. And it isn't one pull programs anyone. Clinical compulsion takes more than that. Near-miss sensitivity, personal vulnerability, the deeper neurobiology underneath. All of those stack on top of the schedule. The schedule lights the fire. Whether that small fire ever becomes a wildfire depends on everything else. And that honesty matters more than a clean, scary story. If something can be checked, I want you checking it. The sources for all of this are in the description. So let's put your hands back on something useful here. Because once you can actually see the 3 hooks for what they are, they lose a little of their grip. They work best in the dark. Try this. Next time you feel that just one more pull, name the mechanism out loud right there. That's the surprise chase talking. That's a near miss, not a near win. It sounds small, but naming the machine shrinks it. And the near miss especially, say it plainly to yourself. That was a loss that happened to look like almost. It's not a sign. It's not I'm due. It's just 2 cherries and a machine that knows the trick. Now here's the reframe, and it's an honest one, not a comforting lie. This was never a bug in you. Chasing uncertain rewards is quite possibly the oldest survival skill you own. A brain that learns from surprise, that keeps trying when the payoff is random, that reads almost as keep going just a little longer. That exact brain found food, mates, and shelter for 1,000,000 years straight. It kept your ancestors alive through droughts and lean winters. The wiring did its one job, and did it perfectly. The only thing that ever changed is the world built up around it. That bush that sometimes had berries became a machine engineered to feel exactly like that bush, except now it's forever on demand, glowing in the dark, with the berries always just one more spin away. The world built a trap shaped precisely like your oldest instinct and then sold tickets. That is not you malfunctioning. That's a brilliant ancient tool being aimed deliberately at a brand new lie. And this is taken seriously now, not brushed off as a moral failing. Gambling disorder was officially moved to sit beside drug addictions in the diagnostic manual. The very first behavior, no substance involved, to make that list. Not because gamblers are somehow weaker people, because the same deep reward circuit gets captured in the same way. It's a wiring story, not a willpower story. And that recognition is squarely on your side. So if you've spent years quietly calling yourself weak, you can set that word down. It was never accurate. It was just the only word you had on hand before anyone showed you the actual mechanism. Knowing the wiring won't switch the pull-off like a light, but it changes the fight. You're not fighting a flaw in you. You're up against a designed machine, and now you can see the design. If a behavior of yours feels broken and you want the real wiring under it, drop it in the comments. That's the whole channel. Your "Why do I do that?" explained honestly. A new one of these every single week. Because almost everything you ever thought was a flaw buried inside you turns out to be the same story. An old program quietly meeting a brand new world. And the gambling pull is just the loudest, most expensive version of that whole story. Surprise, schedule, near miss. Every piece of it ancient, every piece of it once useful, every piece of it now aimed at you on purpose. So the next time you hear that little voice say "one more spin," you'll know exactly what's talking. Not weakness, not some character flaw you were born with. An old survival engine getting tricked by a very modern machine. You can stand up from that chair, not because you finally found willpower, but because you finally saw the wiring and the machine lost its disguise. You're not broken, you're just wired different. I'm Milo.